I am going to show you how to do a one-point perspective drawing on the computer. You can certainly do this on a piece of paper, or you can combine it. You can do it on the computer and then print it out. So you're going to go to Safari on your iPad. Do not do it in Google Drive. Once you're in Safari, go to drive.google.com. You're going to click on Log in first. Make sure you're logged in. Then click on New, More, Google Drawings. You could also do this in Google Slides. You won't have that little pop-up I just had. Then you're going to rename it as your first name, last name, and I would call it maybe one point perspective if you want to. So one point perspective is one of the ways we see the world. It's how we view everything around us in perspective. And one point perspective typically has one vanishing point. That's why it's called one point perspective. One vanishing point, 1 point. So the first thing I'm going to do is on my circle tool, I'm going to make a point. So I'm going to pick a shape and I'm going to pick a circle. Once it loads up here. Okay, there's my circle. And you can put it anywhere you want on your piece of paper. And I'm actually not happy where that just went. So I'm going to click this tool and I'm just going to move it over here. All right, anywhere on your paper is fine. Then what you're going to do is I'm going to make a city looking down on a city for mine. So I'm going to draw a bunch of rectangles and squares. You can play with the colors of it. You can play with the sizes of it. You can put them wherever you want. You can click copy and paste to make more if you can figure that out on your iPad, but you want to make a couple of them. So because you are watching me, I'm going to just do copy and paste. Okay, so for me, it would be right click, but you're on your iPad. Copy and then paste. And I'm going to paste a couple of them and move them around. One point perspective, when you do it, you have the lines line up to the vanishing point, and those are orthogonal lines. So I'm going to click on my line tool. I'm going to connect each one of them to my circle, my vanishing point. Now, do you see how I get those purple dots that line up? Sometimes it wants to automatically click in there. So if that is the case, we might have to zoom in, and I'll show you what that means. Now you'll notice that I am not doing every single corner. That is because you're not doing corners that go through your buildings or your blocks, because my buildings are not see-through. So what that means is I'm not going to draw through here, because if I did, it would go through my building, and my building is not see-through. Now, this line down here, I'm going to draw it, and if I did it, I would go through another building. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back it up a little bit so it still points at my vanishing point. And same one on this corner. So if I did it, I'd go through my building. So that's why it's kind of nice to do it on this paper, on the computer versus on paper, because in case you have to erase something, it does make it easier. Now, if for some reason I couldn't draw one of my lines because it kept snapping, you could click on the zoom button right here. It's a magnifying glass with a plus sign, and I can zoom in. Now, I happen to make my vanishing point pretty big, so I'm going to click my select tool, which looks like an arrow. I'm going to click on my circle, and I'm going to make it smaller, which might mean some of my lines move, so I might have to adjust some of my corners. So I would do that before you go too far into it like I just did. You can also do things like add windows and doors. So I'm going to zoom out just so I can see it. Oh, see, some of my lines did move. So in order to make a window or a door, the key thing to remember is that the sides could point to your vanishing point. So what that looks like is I'm going to do a horizontal line here. You have a nice little grid hiding on your paper to help me. All right, this line's going to point to that vanishing point. I'm going to make one that points to the vanishing point, the top and bottom. And then this one, I'm going to make it go straight across, horizontal. And I can fill that in however I want. The next step would be you can print it out.